Hello guys, welcome back. This is Deepika from MyTutorialRack.com, and in this video we are going to create three important things. One is auth provider, then name credential, and external credential. Now all of this is needed because we want to do an HTTP callout from our flow, and in order to do the HTTP callout from the flow we need to provide the name credential, and in order to create a name credential we need to create an external credential, and in order to create an external credential you need to provide an auth provider. So that is the whole picture. So the first thing is, what we need to do is, where do we need to create the auth provider? We want the access given to our client app, right? We want our client app to get authorized for which application? For that external system application where the data is hosted. So the first thing is, I am going to log in to my client app. Now what is the client app? The client app username is this one, right? This is the client app username. So I'm going to go ahead and provide that over here and hit the login. Once I am logged in, so I'm logged into this particular app here. Next thing is, I am going to quick find and I will look for auth providers. So here I'm going to say auth providers. This is under the identity, you see the auth providers, and then we will click on new here. And who is the provider type? So provider type can be Salesforce. So I'm going to choose Salesforce here. You can choose any of these auth providers. So if, let's say, sometimes when you're trying to log into a different application, let's say Zoom application, and Google can be your auth provider, right? It'll tell you, hey, do you want to use your Gmail to kind of log into your Zoom app? So that is acting as an auth provider. So here I'm going to choose Salesforce as an auth provider, and we'll call it as Salesforce auth provider. And then here the authorized endpoint URL is this, token endpoint URL is this. We are not going to change anything. And if you want to provide an icon, you can do that. If you want to provide a custom logout URL, you can do that. If you want to provide a custom error URL, you can do that. All of these things we can do. Now the next thing is, we need to provide the consumer key and consumer secret. Where are we going to get this? We are going to get this from our source application. And if you remember, in our Postman also we have all this data, right? So authenticating with the employee, if you see here, this is the collection that I've created, and this is my client ID. So I can copy from here as well. This is one of the place, and the other place is, you go over to your source app, which is where the employee data is hosted, and then you go over to connected app and you can get it from there as well. Similarly, we will go ahead and copy our client secret. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and put it over here. So we have provided all this information. Everything else we are going to keep it as it is, and then here I'm going to hit the save button. So I am able to create my auth provider. Once I create the auth provider, you are going to see the Salesforce configuration. And if you see here, you get a callback URL, and you have also gotten the OAuth only initialization URL. All of this thing you have received. Okay. So what we're going to do is, we are going to go and add this callback URL into our source app or our external application where the data is hosted. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and we will go back, log in here, and this time I am going to log in to this app, which is acting as a external app. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here, and if you remember, you can keep an eye on the colors. Okay, so this is the green color, and this one, it's different. This is more a greenish, this is different green. So you have two different apps open right now. So here I'll go to App Manager, okay, and we'll go over here, App Manager, and we will look for the connected app that we created. And what is the name of the connected app? Is this one, Employee HR System. We will go ahead and do a view here. And here, if you see the callback URL, this is where you will be providing the callback URL from here. So this is what we are going to do here. This is our callback URL. Okay. So when you are trying to authorize yourself, this is where the callback URL is going to be. And now we are going to hit the save. Make sure you hit the continue. And that is it. Okay, so the callback URL has been updated. Now this is which URL? If you look at it, this is the URL from this application, right? MyTutorialCom3. And if you see here, this is the one that we are getting. So basically what we are telling our external source that you will be receiving call from this system. So what you're doing is you're telling that you are receiving the call from this client application, and the URL of the client application is this. You can see here, this is not the URL of your source application. This is the URL of your client application from where the call is going to be made. Okay, I repeat here for people who have not understood. So we have two apps created. One is acting as an external application. We can also call it as your external system or your source system where the data is hosted. So if I'm using terms like source or external, I am referencing to the app where the employee data is stored. And if you hear me calling client, that means the system from which we are going to make the call. And this is the username of that system. So what we have done is within our client application, we created a auth provider, and it's a Salesforce auth provider. And we provided the consumer key and the secret of which application? Of our source application. And in return, what it gave us a callback URL. And the callback URL we pasted into our connected app callback URL of the source system. Okay. So this is what we have done so far. Now in the next video, we are going to create our external credential and our name credential. So I'm going to see you in that video, and thank you so much.